So good morning. We are really excited to share with you some of the results that we have from our 2022 garden surveys. Next slide. My name is Mike Reiber. I'd like to also introduce you to Rob Beachy. Today, what we're going to talk about are our 2022 garden survey findings, a retailer survey finding that we did with you in August, and what you can do to maximize your garden sales in 2022. Let's tell you a little bit about ourselves before we start. So I'm Mike, live in Minneapolis in the land of the tundra, grew up in Nebraska on a 2,500 acre farm. And in my garden, you will find sunrise, sunset roses, you'll find black and blue salvias, you'll find wave petunias, you'll find 5,000 tulip bulbs. But that's my avocation. My vocation is that I'm CEO and founder of Axiom. I spent 30 years in market strategy, market research, and marketing communications. I met Rob Beachy, who you'll meet in a second, at Toro where I was the external product PR lead. And we worked on a super blower, we worked on recycler mowers, we worked on fertilizers, and a lot of other things. I'm an alma mater of Northwestern University from the business school and from the undergraduate program. In the business school, I focused on marketing and entrepreneurship, and had the opportunity to learn from a lot of really great professors like Phil Kotler, who coined the 4 Ps of marketing. So more on that later. Rob?
Hi, I'm Rob Beachy. I'm the CTO of Axiom, and I am a toolaholic. I'm also called the mad scientist of the group. I'm an engineer and a trained marketer and also a trained microbiologist. And I actually have a lot of extensive experience at General Electric, where I kind of grew up, and then also most recently at Toro, where I ended up being actually director of new business development. I have a lot of Toro and GE and Irwin products you have in your stores that either develop myself or actually we help to both name and actually do all the market research for. So I'm very familiar. I live in hardware stores. Also, I'm an avid gardener, like Mike, except I focus on vegetables. In fact, most of my gardens produce at least 20 pounds of product per square yard. And it should, because I'm the one that developed the Toro fertilizers and also our brand new venture, Amino Organics, amino acid-based fertilizers that are used for your gardens, for your turf, and for commercial agriculture. Actually, my passions are my family and problem solving and my nationally ranked FRC robotics team here in Charlottesville, Virginia.
So let's tell you about some of the companies that we've had the privilege of working for over the years in this home and garden sector. They've chosen to work with us because we give them good insights. And a lot of the work that we're doing actually is present in the retail sector on these products that we've been working on, whether it's a garden center or it's a hardware store or a big box home center or mass merchant. You'll see the effects of our labors there. The things that we do for these companies are fall into 4 categories. First category is market research. We do lots of focus groups. We do lots of large-scale research studies online. We do lots of depth interviews. And the reason we do that is that we need insights that will be foundational to the sales and marketing programs of our customers and their channel partners. The second bucket is category strategy. The challenge here is, how can we make more money for our clients, and how can we make more money for the channel partners? So the things here that we're doing is we're doing big data analysis on scanner data. We're doing category profitability. We're doing gap analysis. We're doing depth interviews with store retail personnel. Those are all things that are vital to increasing profitability. We do a lot of innovation work, and our innovation work is really focused around new products and new packaging concepts. So Rob has 52 different patents that he has worked on, and those patents have made lots and lots of money for the companies that he's worked for as an employee, and that we've worked for as a company. Probably conservatively, those patents are worth $350 million. So we've had a good track record there. But the innovations that we are able to bring to market help increase market share for the manufacturers, but also for the channel partners, because they're selling products that meet underserved needs of customers. The last area that we serve our clients in is this issue of sales first communications. And whether it's content or PR or social media or messaging or even positioning, the goal is to create awareness, to increase foot traffic, and to let people know that where the products are and what's available, so that they'll want to buy it. So, next slide. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about this burning question. What's going to happen in 2022? Will the good times keep rolling? And in fact, that was the whole topic of the retailer survey that you took, and also the 1,000 consumer Gartner survey that we just finished and will share with you today. Specifically, what are we going to talk about? Are we going to keep the 15 to 18 million new gardeners who came in your store? How are we going to keep them? What's this effect of COVID-19 going to be in 2022? How will it impact the types of gardening that people do? What are the key factors that you can use to continue to increase your sales and your share of market? And then last, what are some success factors that you can grab? We've chosen to use 6 P's of success, and we'll share some stories with you from the field. I had the great privilege of talking to 12 different home and garden showplace owners, some of whom are on the advisory council and some of whom are the unsung heroes, who are doing a really interesting job at marketing and sales. So I told you that we do a lot of surveys. The first survey that we're going to share with you is the retailer survey that we launched in August. And this was all about, what do you think the sales are going to do in 2022? So here, we saw that most people had a sales increase. 58% of the people had a sales increase in 2021. Then we asked the question about what's going to happen with 2022 sales. And 39% expected to increase by 10%. Next slide. Rob, I'll turn the microphone over to you.
Great. When you start looking at all this different data, this is all information that came from all the retailers out there for the home and garden showplace. But it's almost equally split between weekend actual casual gardeners and experienced gardeners. But what's more important is where your profitability is. And as you can see from the slide, 14% is from first-time gardeners. Now, a lot of those are millennials. And so what do millennials need? Well, they need a trained person with personalized service. That's what they're looking for when they come to the store. They want access to the internet so they can look up things, whether it's Facebook or Pinterest, compare it, look at different plant types and everything like that. And they love handouts. You'll see a lot of them are DIYers, but they're equally split between DIYers and also needing a contractor. So having those lists and that service is very, very important to them. And obviously, the rest of the group is mostly your weekend casual gardeners, but they also need that DIY, those handouts that help them seasonally decide to buy the right products. Next slide.
So One of the keys to keeping these new gardeners is this issue of confidence and success. Did they have a good experience with their gardening pursuits? And, you know, almost everybody that responded to the retailer survey said yes, they did. The more interesting question is, what did they do about that feeling of success? 11% 11% of the retailers responded that they bought more products. Their customers bought more products. 22% said that they share their success stories with them and their staffs. 22% said that they upgraded their home and garden and outdoor living projects. And most important, 44% of you said that they recommend your store to friends and family.
Now, foot traffic. Obviously, everybody had increased, or most people had it increased significantly. And the other important thing is when you're going into the store and you increase that foot traffic, what's everybody doing? So the topics they're really looking for are outdoor plant care, planting, and landscaping, all outdoors. But right below that is your indoor plant care. So again, what we're talking about is that personalized service, but then also having information about each of the different type of plants and having new plants. I know a lot of the retailers want to have new. It's always something to talk about. And then also, if you see, most of the things are focused outdoors. But then again, remember, they need help, they need service, and they also need handouts.
So, what types of questions did you get from your customers? It's really interesting to me that, indoor plants ranked as high as perennials and annual plants. That's a huge opportunity for you. It started in 2018, indoor plant craze with all these millennial plant parents. Outdoor furnishings, at 11%, that's a big category, particularly for millennials, because they want to personalize their homes and their outdoor environments. On the right hand of the screen, what types of outdoor living and garden products did you sell more than you expected? Furniture, right? Decor. I think that was a surprise category for many of you based on my conversations that I've had. Planters and terracotta, 10%. Yard art and decor at 8%. Again, houseplants. Those are all categories that expanded and and many of you believe will expand in 2022. More on that when we talk about the consumer survey.
Now let's talk profit. Obviously, when you talk about the home and garden showcase place, we're talking about profitability. If you look down very, very low, you'll see that, hey, grills are a big dollar item, but low profit. Your big profit items, according to the survey, are your perennials, your shrubs, your trees, your indoor plants. Here comes indoor plants again, and decorative containers. We're seeing a large increase of usage or percentage usage by millennials of your different indoor plants. But then also look at your outdoor furniture. I know a lot of you are looking expanding to go outside, so why not have that outdoor furniture outside along with other products? And then bird seed and bird feeders, we're seeing a lot of response to that. So having that equipment, a real short, quick story. When I was a child growing up in Pennsylvania, my dad took me to a hardware store and we had a work around weekend. So we actually do a hobby thing and we built birdhouses together at our hardware store. Very powerful tool. Next slide.
So we talk about each year we do a large panel study, online study that has 1,000 to 1,500 people, gardeners, each and every year. We do this in the United States. We do this in Canada. And the goal is to understand what gardeners are thinking about for the next year. What are they interested in? What are they going to be doing? What types of gardening are they doing? Are they going to expand the garden, etc.? These are all questions that we'll talk about in the following slides. The goal is to this year, as I mentioned, is to understand, are the good times going to continue to roll? How did COVID impact in 2021, and how will it impact in 2022? So the first question here is, are you going to continue gardening? And if so, are you going to expand your gardens? Are you going to plant more? So the teal bar on this chart is really, it's the millennials. So let's look at the increase in the millennials. 76% of millennials in the study say that they're going to plant more and expand their gardens. Significant opportunity, given the fact that many of these millennial gardeners may not have gardened in at all. 76% are going to expand. Next slide.
Now let's look at time specifically. Obviously, there's a lot of difference. The exciting thing here is millennials, which have 1/3 of the buying power, are going to be spending a lot more time gardening. And that means, obviously, more time means more money for you because they're going to have to buy seeds, they'll buy plants, they'll buy tools, they'll buy irrigation equipment. And again, having the products at the right time and having that training or DIY or handout sheets to help them be more successful will be critical to your success.
So, but now let's talk about effect of COVID in 2021. We all know that everybody was staying home more. But what's interesting to me here is the increased interest and involvement, a significant amount. That's the left-hand bars. Look at that. 47% of millennials said it increased their interest and involvement significantly. If you add the second bars to the left, the 27%, so now you've got 74% of millennials say that it increased interest and involvement in gardening and outdoor living. Next slide.
This is actually just a refinement of what we were talking about in the previous slide. And again, how has COVID influenced how much time you spend? As you can look at it, over 50% are going to be spending more time on their gardens. And again, that gets back to the whole thing about COVID has taught them that they're missing something in their life, and that's both family and their yards and being with nature. And there's also another factor affecting that, this whole, especially for millennials. If you look at millennial cars, you always see the buy local on the back of the car. They're really involved in buying local and shopping local. Next slide.
So why are they interested in being more involved in gardening? You know, this health stuff with stress level and wellness and exercise, it is important, but if you combine it to the spending more time at home, you got nearly 39% of people who are dealing with those types of concerns. Rob mentioned the spending time with family as being an important factor. This issue of growing your own food. We heard many times about millennials and we've read about it, about their interest in growing their own food so they know where it comes from. The interest in outdoor entertaining, 12%. You know, again, millennials, we know, are highly social. We know they're highly taste-driven by influencers, and they like to, they like to entertain. And that will only continue to grow as they have more disposable income and as they age in their careers. Next slide.
And building on that slide, the aspect of outdoor is obviously focused right here. Very similar between millennials, except one category. That one category is playing yard games. Obviously, millennials have younger bones, so they're out there playing more yard games. When we start looking at grilling and cooking, what that's telling me is that obviously have your grills lined up and shiny, but also grill accessories. Spending more time with the fun and family. I mean, outside is going to be more grilling, could be more furniture and other different opportunities to sell products. Especially look at the bird watching and butterflies. Having those seeds to have the butterfly plants growing, having the bird houses, having this bird seed available is going to be very important for next year.
And uh, back to grilling and cooking for a second, you've got a wonderful opportunity to combine the edible parts, edible categories in your plant department with grilling and cooking. We know that that cooking is has high interest with millennials and Gen X's and boomers. So that's a wonderful opportunity. Next slide. So here's this confidence and success stuff that we've been talking about. What's interesting to me is that 51% of the people we surveyed felt that they had a good level of confidence when they began. That's interesting to me, given the fact that 500 of our 1,000 respondents were millennials. So that tells me that the places that they shopped were doing a good job of instilling confidence about the projects that they were undertaking, educating them about the products that they needed, about how they needed to do the projects, about sun and shade plants, all of the above. And this is echoed in the right-hand graph where it talks about, were you successful? If they felt successful, they'll come back. And again, look at these millennial bars. 49% felt very successful. 43% felt successful. And that bodes well for the 2022 sales season. And that's why Rob and I believe that so many of the people said that they're going to plant more and expand their gardens in 2022.
Not too many surprises here, but obviously, if you have the show place, you got and you're the number one area. People are looking for expertise, and so that's why they go to the independent gardener, the nursery center. Obviously, the big boxes are in there and dominating that area. Online shipping to me increased, but not as much as we thought it would. And it's literally holding its own with the local hardware store. And again, I can't overemphasize the aspect of buy local to the millennials. They want that service. They want to buy local. They need an internet there so they can look up things. They love QR codes. But in general, this is good news for everybody. So surprisingly, that the only online store pickup has really not improved that much over the year. So more people looks like they're buying locally. Next.
So I was interested here that, about where people are buying their gardening supplies, not the hard goods, but fertilizers, hoses, tools, and stuff. And I was really excited to see independent garden centers showing the same percentage of purchase rates for Home Depot Garden Center. I think that bodes well. What that tells me is, again, that your staffs are doing a good job telling people what they need for the project, what the ancillary stuff that they need to be successful in their gardening pursuits. And it also tells me that maybe people are not, consumers are not so price sensitive, because I would assume that your price points for supplies are a little higher in an independent garden center than they are in a mass merchant outlet. So bodes well for 2022. Next slide.
It's the social media age. Interestingly enough, obviously, we'd expect Facebook to be a good source of ideas, interests. That's where we share our pictures of our flowers, pictures of our family, pictures of our new striped yard or our dead yard with the heat we've been having, but also looking for ideas. Obviously, the YouTube is a focus for millennials because there's a lot of things: how to prune a tree, how to take care of your garden, how to grow more vegetables, whatever that might be. And Pinterest has exactly the same thing about new ideas, how to make arrangements, how to make the flowers look better in your yard, what flowers to buy for the different seasons. And so we're seeing social media as being a big part of the decisions of what people are buying and can be for where they're shopping. So a Facebook presence, Pinterest presence, and having access to point your customers into YouTube to find out how to do things, I think is very important.
Now, so before we leave this slide, we have this millennial seminar that we're doing for True Value University. And if you're interested in millennials, you should watch it. But we have a slide in there that asks the question, which social mediums are most trusted by millennials? And then it's Facebook, YouTube, and Pinterest is like number 5, but Facebook and YouTube are the top 2. And that's interesting to me because of all the challenges that Facebook has faced, given the fake news syndrome and some of the issues that they've had since the last election. It remains a very, very important social media for millennials. YouTube remains important because they're watching video, and I believe it's trusted because it's video. They're seeing people do things, and we've seen some other surveys and research that says when they're watching a video, the particular how-to video, the trust factor increases for millennials.
And they watch it on their phones too when they're out gardening or they're taking pictures to identify plants. So it's a very powerful tool because they're sharing these ideas on Facebook and Pinterest and YouTube.
Next slide. So what are they doing in 2022? No, that's the question of the day. And what I like to focus on is this adding more garden space. 42% of millennials are planning on adding more garden space. 54% in the top line are talking about creating vegetable gardens. And we all know that edibles are high interest. This creating plantings for pollinators and wildlife. 30% of millennials and 27% of all respondents are going to do that. I think this bodes well because there's a number of different things that people haven't done before, and in your local markets, I know you're asking them. I suppose that you're probably also using your newsletters to ask these questions so that you can understand what to bring into your product mix for 2022. A couple of other things that are interesting to me about this slide are natives. Now, the millennials don't know. Many of them don't know what natives are, but the boomers and Gen X gardeners do, and 24% of them are talking about natives. Pete Shirty has put together a great network of plant growers, and there are several who are really, really good at natives. And I would encourage you to look at that native thing because I believe that's going to grow. Of course, natives are great for a number of factors. You don't have to water them, you don't have to fertilize them as much. You don't, they're easy to grow plants that are bulletproof, and the bulletproof part will help your new gardeners be even more successful. Next slide.
The outdoor living projects. Well, number one is creating a more comfortable outdoor space. Literally, you're accessorizing your outdoors. And so furniture, adding sunscreens, new decking, new lighting, new sound systems, retaining walls, fountains, lighting, All these accumulate into one package of focus on outdoor. Now, we know for a fact that there's a split between the millennials about how many want to do it themselves and how many want to have an outdoor contractor. So again, I think it's really important to have access or listings of known trusted contractors, landscapers, or anything to help them when you can't do in the entire job. But it gets back to the aspect of having sand and cement and everything ready for them, tamping tools, whatever those might be, and then instructions of how to do it, or pointing them to a YouTube, pointing them. In fact, actually, long term, maybe we would like to see our True Value have their own sponsored sections, which shows people how to do these things, as well as find professional help. Any way to help that consumer come back to the store because they know they can come to True Value, get the answers and the products they need to be successful.
So one last comment on this slide that's interesting to me is, look at these different the top ones as they go down, and they're all about creature comforts, creating a more comfortable outdoor space, upgrading my outdoor entertaining space, upgrading hardscapes with patios and retaining walls and fountains, creating a new deck and a patio or an outdoor fireplace and seating area. I mean, this is all about bringing the inside of your house outside, and you are in a unique unique position to help millennials and other customers who want to do this achieve a personalized and a more comfortable and more interesting outdoor environment. Next slide. So, what's keeping people from gardening more? Money and time. 31% say money budget, 30% say time. The time element is the interesting thing for me, because if you look at the bottom where you see the split between millennials and all respondents, millennials place a high value on time, and we do a lot of work about with our clients about this issue of time savings and how to create environments that have less maintenance, or how to encourage people to design landscapes that require less maintenance. Or
One other thing I think, Mike, that's really important, don't leave out ideas on this slide, because when you go to Cultivate, and we visit a lot of different home centers, and when we go in there, a lot of people are laying out or spending a lot more time in creating these outdoor areas to create ideas. Like Mike was mentioning before, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube shows you how to do it. So if you can present those ideas, there's 10% of the problem right there. In fact, actually, if you combine that with space, there's 30% of the opportunity. How can you do more in less space? How can you come up with the ideas that look right, fit your decor, and that you'll want to do?
Next slide. So we were talking about the success in 2022 and these P's. So Phil Kotler, he was a Northwestern University professor back, and he's kind of the guru of modern marketing. So he's the guy who put Northwestern and Kellogg School of Business on the map as the top marketing MBA program in the United States. And his his 4 P's were product, price, place, and promotion. And that's been a model that, a strategic model that's been used by many successful manufacturers and even retailers. We've got 6 P's that we think are important, and I interviewed 12 different home and garden showplace retailers to talk about these P's. Our 6 P's are a little bit different. So they are profitability, they are positioning, they are people, they are place, they are um, segments of people that are important. So let's talk about those. First P is positioning. So we all know that lawn and garden centers are independent lawn and garden centers are known for having great plants and knowledgeable people, and they're great sources of inspiration, right? I would encourage you to think a little more deeply. What are the things below that level that make you different and that you're better at than your competitors, that will make customers care about coming to your store? So let me tell you a couple of stories here. Let's start with Wagner's Nursery in Minneapolis, where I live. So I buy many plants there, perennials and annuals and stuff. But we have a short season in Minneapolis, 5 or 6 weeks, because of our climate. So Julie has focused a lot on the rest of the selling season and using indoor plants to drive interest. She gets lots of shipments from lots of different vendors. And she knows that in her neighborhood, these plant parents, these millennial plant parents are really, really important. And they like to have indoor plant collections. So she's focused on that. And you can walk into the greenhouse and after the annual season is done, and now it's filled with all these different types of tropicals and wonderful, interesting looking rare plants. She is so well known for that a major TikTok influencer came and visited her store and did a video on her store. Guess what happened to her foot traffic? It exploded. Guess what happened to the containers, the decorative containers that the indoor plants need to go into? Guess what happened to the indoor potting soil and her sales of fertilizer and the pesticides to maintain those plants? Everything improved. So she was positioned for success. Next slide. Populations. So this is a question about the segments. Which segments are most profitable? Which segments are most important? Which types of consumers came into your store that were new? So I had an interesting conversation with Jessica at Agway Cape Cod. Her new segments were all these people who own second homes on Cape Cod. And the owners are now moving permanently to Cape Cod. So they're becoming new, that's becoming their primary residence, at least during COVID. And the ones who are retiring, it is becoming their primary residence. So guess what? They're making their second homes as good as their first homes. And she and her team are in a unique perspective to help with those home upgrades, simple things, whether it's plumbing or upgrading a deck, but they're focusing on that. And I thought that was an interesting perspective, and why do they keep coming back? Well, they get good service, they get good counsel from her team on the different types of projects that need to be done to make these homes full-time homes. Erin at Masterson's, interesting story. So Erin is a mom, and she's got some elementary aged kids. She does lots of seminars in her community about gardening. Very knowledgeable. Came from California, where she worked in horticulture. But she got lots of moms with kids in tow, looking for stuff that they could do together, projects that they could do together in 2021. And I think that bodes well for 2022, because as a parent, we all want to have more time with our kids, quality time, where we're doing stuff. And what she's done is she's got a whole series of projects, ideas that moms and kids and dads and kids and our entire families can do together. Next slide. So place. We've all seen the surveys on destination retailers. So and I would challenge you. You can be a destination retailer. You can be a destination retailer by providing a beautiful, wonderful environment that gives people pleasure to visit, particularly when they're uncertain and feeling unsafe about COVID with the Delta variant or any number of new variants that may come on the scene in 2022. You give them living plants that make them feel good. You give them color. You give them inspiration about making their home and their yard a more beautiful place. So let's get a couple of stories here. Flamingo Road. If you haven't visited, you need to. I visited there in 2019 when I was down in Fort Lauderdale for the PPIE show, Tropical Plant Show. I couldn't believe it. The tiki setting that Jim has created down there, it's like a treasure hunt. You walk around and you see things that are really interesting. You walk around and you see a variety of different categories that are well merchandised, whether it's bonsais or plant pairings with color and texture and fragrance. It's a delight to the eye. What can for us, if you're not down in a 12-month-a-year garden climate, what else can you do? Well, I heard a lot from many of you who were talking about filling your greenhouses early with stuff that you don't usually have. Mitch Mays at Louisiana Nurseries, he's bringing in ferns early, earlier than normal to keep the greenhouse filled because he knows that people want to come in and visit. Julie, I mentioned, is keeping her greenhouses full of tropical plants. Color plants also, color is great. And you'll all have beautiful poinsettias in November and December and cyclamens. And that color is just incredibly pleasurable for your visitors. Next slide. So I mentioned early that we do a lot of innovation work. Most of the innovation is about new products, but sometimes it's about process. And in 2020 and 2021, all of us learned about the importance of e-commerce and about the importance about curbside pickup. Some of us didn't have those systems in place, but we all do now. And I would challenge you to ask your team, what are the processes that they believe need to be rethought, and what are the long-term changes that you want to do in the future? And then you can ask your customers about those processes, what they think. You can ask your customers by doing very simple surveys in your e-newsletters. You can ask your customers on the floor, lots of different ways. Let me tell you some stories about this that were interesting to me. So one process that Agway of Cape Cod has done that is really interesting is that they totally internalized their signage, their design, and their marketing department. So they've got a team of 3 or 4 people who are doing all of this, and it's inside, led by a marketing director. What that does for Jessica is that it helps her to do things more quickly, turn on a dime, instead of having to call all of the vendors, the outside vendors, and get them aligned and then get them producing what she needs. A second process change that was interesting to me is one that related to being in the stores and merchandising the stores more often. And this came from Mitch Mays. He said that, Mike, I'm getting new customers each and every day. Therefore, what I need to be focused on is making those stores look nice every single day instead of just getting getting the stores ready for the weekend crowd on a Thursday. And he's teaching his staff about the importance of inspiration and how to do it with end caps more often than he was. And I just think that those things are the things that keep your new customers coming in. Next slide. So people, what is your team? We all know that recruiting is exceptionally difficult these days. It's never been harder. It's expensive. It's time consuming. How do you do that? So Chris at Milligers told me, she said, Mike, we need to have our people feel safe. We need to have them feel like our family because they're working harder than ever. And I just thought that was an insightful statement. So, the questions that too few organizations, including corporate customers, don't think about is, well, what does the team think about the company? How do they feel? Do they feel like they're part of the company? Do they feel empowered? Do they feel enthusiastic about the company's focus, about the company's sustainability packages, how they are part of their community? All of those things. If you're not asking those things, you should be asking them those questions. And Rob and I occasionally will put together an employee survey. We have this product that measures the culture and the process of companies, and then we benchmark them against their peer companies. And the benchmarking is quite interesting because we can see where a company ranks in terms of how strong is the culture. Do the people feel empowered? Do the people feel vested? All of those things are important. Last but not least is, how many millennials do you have on your team? How can you get more? What do they think? Because those millennials are the ones who are really powerful advocates to the new millennials who are coming into your store. They understand them. They understand the questions that they have. They understand how they process information. They understand where they go for inspiration. And they'll be a vital source of information about your company, about the processes of your company, and what you should change as you look into the future. So last P, profitability. This is probably the last one, but it's maybe the most important one of all. So here, we look at category profitability for the channel. If the channel isn't making money with our clients' products, they're not going to sell them. And so here's some questions that I'm sure you're asking of yourselves, but these are questions that we're asking. Now, what SKUs do you carry that no one else carries? What SKUs keep the lights on for you? And this issue, given all the supply chain issues that we're dealing with, what about carrying over inventory? How concerned should you be? And then the last one is benchmarking. And let me start out with a story from the field. Butch at Sparky's, Butch Starkey, sorry, has a benchmarking program that he's involved with Ian Baldwin. And there's 60 different retailers in that program. And it's all confidential, but they're comparing business key performance indicators. They're performing comparing category performance and things like that. And it helps him to understand where he falls and what he should be doing as he's making decisions for his garden center. Another one, about pricing. Jim in Pittsburgh has a really interesting way of pricing. He adds $1 to every single manufacturer's suggested price. And what that does is it simplifies pricing. He doesn't do many discounts. And he's kept his profitability high. Stuart at Koffers is doing the same thing. In fact, we were talking about, how do you ever discount? And it sounds like that's a very rare occurrence, because he recognizes the value of the products that he's bringing to his community, particularly as other retailers are experiencing shortages. Now, in the case of Stuart, he's chosen to keep inventories high because he wants to have product available for people to buy. And he did this with all of his products, but patio furniture was a great product category for him last year and this year, and he thinks that will continue. So those are our 6 P's of success, with a few stories sprinkled in from the field. Rob and I will be at McCormick Place on Thursday for the buying show. We would love to talk to you. If you have questions, look us up or email us up and we'll find you at the show, or we can respond to the questions after the fact. We'd love to talk to you. If you have any needs about research, please ask us. We have lots of industry studies that we've done over the years. We do custom studies, and we're happy to participate with you to get those market research insights completed for your local market. We will have a copy of our 2022 Garden Center study in a report form available in early October. And some of you saw our 2021 report, which was why Jen asked us to present the keynote. We're happy to share that. We'll give that to Jen to email to you all before we release it to the general public, so you'll get a sneak peek at our report. We thank you for your time and your attention, and we hope to see you soon. Have a great day.